Most of us think of King Tut as ancient Egypt's boy wonder, famous for his gold mask and tomb. But his real claim to fame? He actually spent his reign undoing a queen's legacy, a queen whose existence had been systematically erased from history. Imagine ruling an entire empire, commissioning grand monuments, and then effectively ceasing to exist in official records. This isn't a forgotten monarch due to obscure circumstances. This was a deliberate, politically motivated act. Ancient Egypt tried to forget one of its most powerful rulers. Her story is a testament to both ambition and the fragility of historical memory. In just a few minutes, you'll understand why the name Hatshepsut was once a forbidden whisper. For centuries, historical records of ancient Egypt presented a near unbroken line of male pharaohs, punctuated only by a few brief, often tumultuous female reigns. This narrative felt incomplete to many scholars. It was as if a significant chunk of Egyptian history had simply vanished, leaving a strange gap where a powerful ruler should have been. Consider the famous king lists, like the one from Abydos, which meticulously record pharaohs' names. These lists jump from Thutmose I straight to Thutmose III, completely omitting a substantial period of rule. This omission was deliberate, a blank space intended to obscure a powerful woman who defied tradition. It's like finding a family photo album with a key member conspicuously cut out of every picture. This pharaoh didn't just fade away. She was actively removed. Unlike Tutankhamun, whose tomb made him immortal, this ruler's name was struck from stone. The very idea of a powerful female pharaoh was so threatening that her memory was almost completely extinguished. We're talking about a systematic campaign to rewrite the past. Hatshepsut was not born into a world expecting her to wear the double crown of Egypt. Initially, she was destined to be a queen consort, the wife of Pharaoh Thutmose II. When he died, Hatshepsut found herself in a pivotal position, regent for her young stepson, Thutmose III, who was still a child. This setup wasn't entirely unusual. Regents often guided the kingdom until the child pharaoh came of age. However, Hatshepsut took this role beyond mere guardianship. She started by subtly asserting her authority, gradually increasing her visibility and power in the court. Imagine a modern CEO's assistant who, over time, starts chairing board meetings and making major strategic decisions. The traditional role was to serve as a temporary placeholder, guiding the male heir to his rightful place on the throne. But Hatshepsut had other plans. She was a woman of royal blood, daughter of Thutmose I, a respected pharaoh. She clearly possessed political acumen and an undeniable will to lead. Her ascension wasn't a sudden coup, but a gradual, deliberate expansion of her influence. She understood that power, once tasted, is difficult to relinquish. But that's not even the best part. The most interesting is still ahead. But that's not even the best part. The most interesting is still ahead. Hatshepsut's transformation into pharaoh was a masterclass in political maneuvering and public relations. She didn't simply declare herself queen. She became king. To legitimize this unprecedented move, she employed extensive propaganda, carefully crafting an image acceptable to a society that expected a male ruler. Her statues depict her with a male physique, broad shoulders, and even the traditional false beard, a symbol of pharaonic authority. Inscriptions referred to her using male pronouns, such as His Majesty. This wasn't about gender identity. It was a pragmatic political statement. She was projecting the image of a strong, traditional pharaoh. Think of it as a meticulously designed corporate rebranding, but for a monarch. Her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari features elaborate reliefs depicting her divine birth, claiming she was directly chosen by the god Amun-Re. This was standard practice for pharaohs, but for a woman it was an essential assertion of legitimacy. She also staged a grand coronation ceremony, further solidifying her claim. She leveraged every available tool: religious claims, visual symbolism, and monumental architecture, to convince her people that she was the rightful pharaoh, not just a temporary female stand-in. Her ambition was matched only by her strategic brilliance. Hatshepsut's reign, lasting for over 2 decades, was a period of remarkable peace, stability, and economic prosperity for Egypt. Unlike many pharaohs focused on military campaigns, she prioritized trade and monumental construction. Her most famous undertaking was the expedition to the land of Punt, a legendary region in East Africa. This was no small feat. It was a complex, large-scale maritime venture, bringing back immense wealth in exotic goods like myrrh, frankincense, gold, ebony, and even live animals. Imagine a modern-day international trade agreement resulting in unprecedented luxury imports. This expedition is vividly depicted in reliefs at her mortuary temple, showcasing her success. She also embarked on an ambitious building program, restoring existing temples and erecting magnificent new ones. Her mortuary temple at Deir al-Bahari, carved into the cliffs, remains one of the most stunning examples of ancient Egyptian architecture. It was a golden age of art and construction, demonstrating her effective governance and deep understanding of Egypt's economic potential. Her focus on internal development rather than constant warfare marked a distinct and highly beneficial period for the nation. But even such a glorious reign couldn't prevent what came next. Decades after Hatshepsut's death, a systematic campaign began to erase her from history. Her statues were toppled and smashed, her name chiseled out of inscriptions, and her images defaced on temple walls. It was an astonishing act of historical vandalism. This erasure wasn't a spontaneous act of anger. It was a deliberate, politically motivated effort. Most scholars attribute this to Thutmose III, her stepson, or his successors. The motivation was likely to consolidate dynastic legitimacy and prevent future female rulers from using Hatshepsut's reign as a precedent. Imagine going through every historical record and carefully deleting every mention of a person, leaving only blank spaces. The goal was to remove any trace that a woman had ever held the full power of Pharaoh. This wasn't just about disrespect. It was about controlling the narrative of succession. If a woman could rule, what did that mean for the divinely ordained male lineage? This campaign was so thorough that for thousands of years, her existence was barely a whisper. This intentional forgetting highlights the precarious nature of historical memory when political agendas are at play. It reminds us that history is often written and rewritten by those in power. The story of Hatshepsut is more than just the tale of a forgotten pharaoh. It's a powerful lesson in how history is constructed and manipulated. For millennia, her achievements were buried under the sands of time, her legacy deliberately obscured. Yet, thanks to the tireless work of archaeologists, piecing together fragmented inscriptions and damaged monuments, Hatshepsut was rediscovered. Her grand temple at Deir el-Bahari, once a monument to her glory, became the key to unlocking her story. She was a ruler who defied expectations, brought prosperity to Egypt, and left an indelible, if almost invisible, mark on history. Her resurrection from oblivion proves that truth, however inconvenient, often finds a way to resurface. Unlike King Tut, whose short reign brought fame, Hatshepsut's long, prosperous rule was deliberately hidden. She reminds us to question the narratives we're given and to dig deeper for the full story. Always challenge the gaps in history. What other forgotten stories are waiting to be told? Try exploring the stories of other powerful, yet overlooked historical figures today.